Hello, race fans. Welcome to episode number 16 of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. We are presented to you weekly by Creekside Entertainment, Penn Electronics, down on Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan, and Race Chaser Online and Speed 77 Radio. Thanks to Tom Baker and Jacob Seelman for supporting us, putting this show on, and getting it out to as many people as we can. Clint, welcome in. I'm your host, Steve Ovens, alongside Clint Miller. And I'm tripping over my words tonight, Clint. We got two really, really cool interviews coming up.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to get this going on. We're going to be talking to Danny Stockman from DSIndustries, Rooster Juice. And then we got the Double Deuce Coupe, Carl Cleveland, coming in a little bit later. I'm a little familiar with him.
So. You know a thing or two about him.
Yeah, sometimes I know a little too much, but
well, that's really kind of tonight's episode's really, really kind of neat. We reached out to Danny Stockman, who is a Nationwide Series crew chief, going to be working with Ty Dillon this year, and he owns a company who kind of has a local dirt connection, and that connection we're going to talk about tonight with dirt driver Dylan Cecce driving a remote-controlled car for Danny Stockman with DSIndustries. So Danny's going to talk to us about that. And then after that, Clint, this one's we're really going to be able to talk about some old-school racing, some really great races from the past. And that is going to be with the driver of the Double Deuce Coupe, Carl Cleveland. And again, you know a thing or two about Carl.
Yeah, we're going to have a couple neat things going on with the paint scheme this year. And thanks to Carl for doing what we're going to do. We're not going to talk too much about it, but I really appreciate everything that he's done. And and I know he appreciates what I've done. I wish I could spend more time over there, but family commitments and whatnot, I can't get over there as much as I'd like to. But it's a really cool deal, and one way or another, we'll have it on the racetrack, and we'll be competitive.
That's pretty neat. And Carl is somebody who, multi-time winner in both street stocks and super stocks, and has got a couple of championships in the street stocks, a championship in the super stock. So really going to be a lot of cool things to reminisce with Carl about. And I know that'll be an interview that'll be really popular with the Turn 5 fans. They'll listen to us here weekly on podbean.com, on iTunes, and subscribe to us on YouTube. We got a lot of folks catching us that way, and we are anywhere you can get to the internet, you can catch up with the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. Before we head off to our first break and get our interviews started, we got a little bit of time here, Clint, that we wanted to talk a few news and notes about... Are
we going to freestyle a little bit here?
We're going to freestyle a little bit. We've got some different news and notes. I know some really neat paint schemes were released today by the Kasey Kahne racing team for their World of Outlaw sprint cars. I mean, Cody Dara's paint scheme is unbelievable.
Yeah, that Ollie's Bargain Outlet car is sharp. Yellow and black, and it's going to stand out like a sore thumb.
It will. It's really, they really did a nice job with that. Some other things that we've seen leaked out over the last couple days. Somebody has a picture up of the Matt Shepard, and finally kind of released what that's going to look like a little bit. I mean, it's going to be similar paint scheme to the Jimmy Phelps car, but it's no longer going to be the 9S. It's going to be the 9H.
Yeah. But he did say that the Superman symbol will be on the car somewhere.
Yeah. So that's and those guys are getting prepared, getting ready to head down to Volusia for when that season kicks off. We'll certainly have a lot more to talk about as far as the dirt modifieds go.
Man, I am getting pumped.
Yeah, I know. I just watching this sporting event that took place last night. At the very end, they had a promo for the Daytona 500, and I'm jacked, man. I'm ready for Speed Weeks.
Yeah, you know what? And the last few years I haven't been as much of a NASCAR fan as I have been. Just the racing's gotten to be where there's a lot of follow the leader. There's a lot of they don't really race to the last 50 laps or so. They kind of ride around and but it's been a long winter. I'm ready for some racing.
And racing, we're certainly going to have just in a couple weeks here on the 15th. There'll be the Sprint Unlimited, and then the next day qualifying for the Daytona 500, and then the week after that, of course, the get the season started with the Truck Series. The ARCA Series will be in action, the Nationwide Series, and the Sprint Cup Series. So just can't wait for all that racing to get started. And certainly once racing gets started and we get more results that we're able to talk about, and coming into the show, we'll have more results and maybe a few less driver interviews, but still going to get those driver interviews in here. So going to be a lot of fun as the weeks progress and we get more dirt racing to talk about. Clint, let's take it to our first break of the night. Give our sponsors a little airtime here on the show, and when we come back, we're going to have our first interview of the night with Danny Stockman.
You're listening
to Turn 5.
What?
The 80s called. They want their store back.
It's time for a new Radio Shack. Come see what's possible when we do things together.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700. Hey Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ovens, sitting alongside Clint Miller with us tonight. And Clint, let's head off to the Turn 5 hotline, bring in our first guest of the night, and that is none other than Danny Stockman, Championship Nationwide Series crew chief for the number 3 car with Austin Dillon this past year, and has a local dirt connection who I think fans will really be interested in. Danny, it's great to have you on the show tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, no problem, guys. Glad to be here.
Now, we wanted to talk about your local connection here. Before we talk about that local connection, why don't we get started with your company, DSIndustries, and Rooster Juice?
Yeah, we, it's just a little hobby of mine that I've tried to grow in here in the last year or so, and just really enjoy RC racing and the hobby that the racing that it brings, the excitement, family atmosphere, and just get around good friends and good people, and just a little company that I started. It started out as being fun, and now it's kind of, the Rooster Juice side of it has kind of grown to a decent size. I don't really want it to get any bigger than it is, because it is, when I get on the road with the Nationwide Series schedule, it gets a little bit hectic, but as I do pretty much do it all myself. But it's been pretty fun.
Now, tell us exactly what that product is, what the Rooster Juice does for the RC cars.
What it is I basically make a tire compound that puts grip into RC foam tires and RC rubber tires. I started making it myself just for me and giving it to people to use, and it's turned into just me having it, and then everybody wanted it, so I decided to start selling it, and we send it from coast to coast, from California to New York, where you guys are at, and I've had it for probably 8 or 9 months now, and it's grown to be something pretty big in the dirt oval RC industry, and like I said, it's gotten to where I don't really want it to get any bigger, but you never know.
And from what we can tell, a lot of guys that are using this stuff, I was checking out all of the information that you have available on the internet. It sounds like a lot of guys are using this stuff and having a lot of success with it.
Yeah, definitely. We got a few guys that I take care of on stuff, and some good friends, and they've been showing some pretty awesome results here lately. And that's what we're here to do, is just make sure that people are happy with the product, and they're happy, then we're happy.
That's cool. Now, tell us, as far as the New York Dirt connection here, tell us a little bit about your relationship and how you got started up with Dylan Cecce.
Well, Dylan Cecce has become a good friend of mine. Racing, we got hooked up through Mike Jeffrey, which I believe was a modified racer up there, and when I was racing with Mike and got introduced to Dylan last year in 2012 at the Open Wheel in Pennsylvania. And I just really took a liking to Dylan, and took a liking to the way he took his racing and how serious he was about it. And the darn kid can just flat drive RC car. I haven't had a chance to come see him race the big car up there in New York where you guys are at, but I've seen his results, and it looks like he's pretty successful doing that. And I've always wanted to have my own team, so to say. It's RC racing, and people always ask me, why do you do that? Why do you want to have a little RC team? Well, for me, it's a way for me to stay connected in the dirt oval RC community. I enjoy it so much. I don't get to do it that much, but I enjoy it a lot. And big cars these days just cost way too much money. I feel like I can be competitive racing remote control cars, and I have just as much fun. And I decided to pick up Dylan Cecce this year after the Open Wheel a few months ago, and the kid is just unbelievable driver, and he can go out there with the best of the best and win. And I consider him probably the top 5 dirt oval RC racer in the country, and for me to be able to get him to run for us was a pretty big deal to me. Some of these guys that are that good wouldn't really want to come do something like that for a guy like me and something little that I have going on. But we try to give him the best stuff that we possibly can, and he's been having a lot of success here lately with it, and looking forward to him going to the February freeze at Bumps and Jumps in Pennsylvania here in a couple weeks, and seeing if he can't go out there and win some races.
Yeah, well, I can vouch for Dylan running on the dirt track over to Black Rock Speedway. You're right. I've seen the kid grow from 12, 13 years old, running the Bandits, running the 4 cylinders, and you're right, Danny. He can flat out wheel a race car. Now, I was back probably in the mid-'90s. I was into the RC thing probably before it boomed, and I got to the point where it's pretty easy to spend a lot of money on these cars.
Yeah, it is. It is very expensive, especially at the level that we want to compete at. My wife sometimes she doesn't understand it. I feel like she is definitely getting to where she does understand it, because she is figuring out how much I really do enjoy it. And it's expensive. It does take up a lot of time. It's just the way I could put it. I mean, I work in NASCAR for a living. That's how I make my living, and I do that all day long, every day, and it's my hobby in itself. And at the level that it takes to be competitive, the amount of work that goes into these little remote control toy cars, as people would say, is just just at a different scale. And it's competitive. It's just like going to your local dirt track or local asphalt track and racing, except for they're littler, they're not quite as expensive, but they are fast. And to me, I still get the same adrenaline rush as I did strapping in a 600 horsepower late model or something like that. So, I'm getting older now, and I don't want to get hurt. I got bills to pay and stuff like that, so I enjoy myself doing this, and it's fun. I'd recommend anybody to go out there and try it.
And that they certainly can. I know that my little brother and myself, he's a producer for our show here. We used to do it as younger kids. I mean, it's really something kind of like racing, starting kids in go-karts or something of that sort. It's really something that you can start young and really grow into it as you age, I guess you could say.
Right, yeah. I mean, I was fortunate enough to race go-karts when I was 7 years old till I was 16, and we traveled the country doing that. And people do the same with RC racing. They travel the country and do this, and there's definitely people that do this for a living that make, six figures a year racing. And I don't know what my deal will ever come to. I know where my home is, and my home is in NASCAR racing full time, but you never know what if I could, maybe be one of the first guys to start a big team type deal, in this type of deal. You never know what it could bring, but you just never know. We're just having fun right now, and we're just really excited to have Dylan Cecce driving for us, and it's going to be fun to see what kind of results he can produce this year.
Well, if he's half as successful at the RC cars as he is here on the dirt, and I know you know this already, but you got yourself a whale of a driver. If anybody's interested in checking out DSIndustries or Rooster Juice, where can they look you up?
I have a Facebook page. It's www.facebook.com/Team DSIndustries. Check it out.
All right, and I'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit of NASCAR, being that's where you make your living, and I gotta imagine you guys are really getting pumped up. Just a few short weeks here away from Speed Weeks, and bringing up a new driver full time to the Nationwide Series.
Yeah, really looking forward to getting my real job to a start here. Headed to Daytona in a couple weeks. Been doing some. We went and did the Daytona test and just really getting prepared for the season. It gets long, and the preparation, I feel, is so much key to having success throughout the season. So we're working hard on that and getting everybody rested up for the long, grueling season, and really excited to work with Ty Dillon and still stay with the Dillon family and enjoying ourselves at Richard Childress Racing.
And I have to ask, working with Ty this year, how I got to imagine bringing him up to the Nationwide is a little bit different than bringing somebody that's maybe a little bit more green. I feel like looking from the outside looking in, that you've got somebody that's really got some good experience in all different forms of motorsports. How is the transition going so far?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, he's a rookie, but definitely has a lot of experience. Knows how to handle the pressure. We gotta take it week by week. We gotta execute when we get to the racetrack. We gotta stick to our plan every week, and we're gonna treat it just like we did with Austin when he was a rookie, and we had success with him. And we're gonna go out there and execute every week. We're not gonna accept anything but the best. We're going to go out there and really push our guys and push everybody to the limit, and try to win us some races this year, and definitely go out to that championship in 2014.
Now, I feel, because everybody, well, not everybody, but 90% of the people follow NASCAR. They know that there's really not much of an off season for you guys. When you start prepping for Daytona, I mean, you pretty much go there what you got, right? I mean, there's not a lot you can do to the car once you're there for like the big tracks like that, or is there more to it?
No, I mean, you're right when you say that. I mean, a lot of this work is done at the shop. When you get to the racetrack, you pretty much got what you got. Not so much you got what you got. There is things you can do, but the speed comes from the shop and all the homework you do throughout the days of the shop. You're not going to go to Daytona, Talladega, places like that, and really find a lot of speed. It's so tough to with the rules that we're dealt with these days. There's everything's so tight, and you're looking for tiny little things that are going to make your car better. And when we get there, we try to have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed when we get there, that we feel like we've got the best possible shot.
Well, we certainly wish you guys a lot of luck, both in the DSIndustries brand and certainly with Ty Dillon starting his rookie season with the Nationwide Series. Danny, thanks so much for your time. And before we get you out, I want to give you a chance to give any thank yous or any shout-outs you got to give for either your DSIndustries team or the Nationwide team.
No, just thank you guys for having me on your show, and definitely to all the race fans out there that support us and let us be able to do what we get to do. If it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't be able to live my childhood dream. So special thanks to them, and hope you guys have a good evening. Let me know if you need anything else from us.
All right, Danny, thank you so much. We'll definitely hold on to your contact info, and maybe we can get an update as your guys' season progresses.
Yes, anytime, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Danny. Okay. Well, race fans, that was Danny Stockman from DSIndustries and crew chief for Ty Dillon's Bass Pro Shops number 3, getting ready to make their a rookie assault on the Nationwide Series. And Clint, I'm stumbling over my words. I'm absolutely blown away that we were able to have Danny on. Talk about a class act willing to take his time to talk to a little show like us.
Wasn't that cool? I mean, he gets it. He gets it. Obviously, I mean, he wants to keep his roots, where he started, and I don't know, man. I'm just like you. I'm kind of at a loss for words. Since we started the show, it just seems like every show there's something else that's just awesome. And talking to Danny tonight, and talking about the Nationwide venture starting up Daytona here in a couple weeks, I'm really excited, and it's just really exciting.
That it is, and thank you again to Danny for joining us on the show. We're going to head off to a quick break, and when we come back, Clint, we got another awesome interview coming in. We got the driver of the Double Deuce Coupe. We'll talk to Carl Cleveland.
You're listening
to Turn 5. Hey, Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to RaceChaserOnline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at RaceChaserOnline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700.
Okay.
What?
The 80s called. They want their store back.
It's time for a new Radio Shack. Come see what's possible when we do things together.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, presented to you weekly by Creekside Entertainment, Penyan Electronics, and Race Chaser Online, Speed 77 Radio. Clint, we are headed back to the Turn 5 hotline to talk to a guy that I know you know real well.
Yeah, I've spent a good portion of my time with him the last couple years, and I can't say he's probably a little worse for wear, but I'm all right.
And that is none other than the driver of the Double Deuce Coupe, Carl Cleveland. Carl, thanks so much for joining us on the show tonight.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. It's pretty cool to get the opportunity to be on your show.
Yeah, we said right from the beginning when we started this show, we got to get Carl on here, and it's really cool to have you on finally.
Yeah, I'm usually lost for words when it comes to doing anything like this, but it'll be fun to try it out.
Well, let's try and get started as close to the beginning as we can. Have you always been the full fendered street stock guy? Is that what you started out in?
Oh yeah, I started out back actually in 1985 in enduro cars, and I've always been a street stock or super stock fan, and absolutely love cars with fenders and doors. Modifieds are cool. I just never really took the interest in them.
He really likes sprint cars.
Is that so, Carl?
Well, I do like sprint cars, but if as far as an every week thing, probably I wouldn't go there every week to watch just sprint cars if they didn't have full fendered cars to go with them.
Well, let's talk about you've had some pretty good success over the years. I know for a time you were, and I'm going back to as early as I remember, racing over at Black Rock. Either had the street stock or the super stock. Let's talk about the super stock era of Black Rock Speedway. It was really, in its time, seemed like a pretty popular class, and you guys always had great racing over there.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite parts of my racing career is going back to the super stock era. Their big tires had a lot of motor, 4-barrel carburetors, 3-link suspensions, and they were very, very fast cars. It was, for a low buck operation, we actually were able to compete because they had hard tires, and it was, really it was fun. It was fun every week because, you could be a top 5 car and not spend a ton of money.
Yeah, and going back to the year that you won the Super Stock Championship, I mean, those were some really competitive years. I mean, the year that you won, I mean, you guys had guys like Dale and Fultzy and Dave Du Bois and all those guys. Quinn Sutherland. A lot of really stiff competition, and you
Bill
guys
Miller.
were Bill Miller, yeah, and you guys were able to come on top that year.
Yeah, it was a really close battle between Quinn and myself. Quinn won a lot of races. I think he won 6 or 7 races that year. He had a phenomenal season. We only won 2 races, but we were in the top 5 almost every week, and we had good luck, and things worked out. It was definitely a great year.
And not only do you have the Super Stock Championship, but I understand you also have a Street Stock Championship under your belt.
Yeah, we won a few of those. The first one I had was actually 1989 in a big old Mercury. We run a 76 Mercury Cougar, and this was actually, like I say, back in the really cheap days where we took a motor right out of a 68 Torino GT, and it was a stock 302, had nothing done to it, and we won one feature with that, and we were running well for the most part.
Carl, tell the fans that are listening about, you were pretty much a one-man operation. Tell them about you had a really bad accident with the car, and a lot of people thought that you were kind of done for a while.
Oh yeah, we had in '89 there was a guy run a 00 car, and the number 15 car, Scott I can't remember his last name, but anyways, he spun out in front of me, and I locked the brakes up, split up, just bumped into him. In the 00 car, he didn't see me or something, and he hit me so hard it took the frame rails right to the ground, and the gas tanks literally sat on the ground at the back of the car, and I thought I was done. We were point leader at the time. It was just past mid-season, and I thought sure as heck that it was over, but we spent the entire week on that car, and on Friday night the following week, we literally were welding a transmission mount into the car because we were just finishing it. And when we got to that point, we got it to the track, and we got really lucky, and the car handled just as good as it did before. We ended up winning the heat race, and I think we took second in the feature that night.
It's runs like that probably are some of the most memorable that you have. I mean, being able to come back from being that far behind at the beginning of the week.
Oh, definitely. It was a lot of work. I had Scott Backer was helping me out back then, and he helped me finish up the rear loop and some of that stuff back in the back of the car, because I literally cut the car right in half right behind the cage and put a new frame from behind the cage back. And I know we spent a lot of time out there that week.
And kind of along those lines, thinking back to some of the wins you've been able to get in your career, any win that you could label as a favorite or one that stands out above the rest?
Well, there's actually two that really stand out, but probably my favorite one would be it was May 9th of 1997, and had the Mustang body on my Super Stock, and started way in the back of the field. I think I started 16th, and the car was just phenomenal. Come from the back and ended up winning it by a good, probably half a straightaway. Man,
that's good stuff there.
It was fun.
Yeah, those are the ones that are fun. I mean, it's got to be. You've got to have the whole package together. You got to have good power, good handling car, and just to be able to put on performance like that.
Yeah, and there was a lot of nights back then when you got the race with Dale Welty, and obviously he was the class of the field back then, and if you could keep up with him, you felt great. And Earl Harp was really fast back then, and I think Dave Meshuggah was still running then. And then obviously Bill Miller was always a ball to race with because he was my uncle, and there was nothing like racing with him because I remember back in the years where he had won so many features and that.
Yeah, I mean, and you bring up Bill. I mean, I talk about coming over and spending a few nights in the shop with you guys over the last winter, and to be able to come over there and talk to you and Bill and hear some stories of how racing used to be and just some of the details that you guys can remember from way back when. It's really, I get really nostalgic when I get over there talking racing with you guys. I mean, there's just so many years of memories, so many good races, bad races, you name it.
Oh yeah, you don't usually forget the good ones and the bad ones. They're the ones that you remember.
For sure.
Yeah, and it just so happens one of Carl's worst accidents involved my dad. So it was, and they were both concerned for each other. And it's just one of those racing deals. Somebody spun out, didn't hold the brake, and Carl went to the bottom. Dad went to the top, and he clipped Carl and turned him right in front of my dad. And it was that was a rough night for the Cleveland and Miller stables for sure.
Oh, definitely. That was one of the hardest hits I've ever took, and it was one of those deals where the car got turned sideways, and when Uncle Bill drove right into the right front tire, it was really a hard impact, and I was worried about him being hurt or tearing up his car because of me being crossways in front of him. But it's one of them things where you get in those racing incidents, and there's not really much you can do about it.
No. And let's talk about more recently. You're racing over at Black Rock. You've had a couple of seasons, dabbling in the late model and the street stock. Tell us what it's like, to come from a background of street stocks and the super stock, and then to run the 360 late model over there.
Well, the first thing I got to say is I got to thank Steve Kent so much for putting me into his late model. He's been so good to me as far as putting me into the best car he could afford, and we had some good stuff, and we run old chassis, but he's definitely put the money in the motor. The car had a lot of power. We had a little trouble hooking it up, and it's definitely a whole different ballpark, from the street stocks and the super stocks. With the cars, when they lift the left front wheel, when we first started getting the car to do that lift, it was just strange, and you can't see out of the cars as good, and it took a little getting used to.
Yeah, well, the one car we had, the left front would carry 4 or 5 feet off the ground, and that's not really what you want either.
No, that one was completely out of control. It took us a while, but we got it down to a reasonable lift, and once we got it down there, then it was more competitive. But that was the older chassis. Actually, Dale Weldy won a championship with that car when the BRPs were really just starting to get their foothold.
I like how you put that. We got it so where it was a reasonable lift. I don't know if I'd be comfortable with any lift, but I give you credit for that. Looking ahead to 2014, I know it's almost like coming back to your roots, focusing back on the street stock full time.
Oh yeah, we're really excited about trying the street stocks back out, and obviously those cars have made leaps and bounds, and they're even faster than what they were when I moved out of the class. But I think it'll be fun to get back into them and try it out.
As far as this coming season goes, do you have any goals in mind of what you'd like to be able to do? As far as is it going to be, if we can get this many top 5s or top 10s or get a couple wins, or how are you approaching the season right now?
Well, the biggest thing with me is I've always been, if we can get the car in the top 5, we'll be able to pull a win off at some point. And you just got to be there and finish the races. And I definitely would say my goal is to be a top 5 car every week.
And I know that along with being a top 5 car in the points as well, that has a lot of implications on the Empire 100 weekend. Oh
yeah, definitely. If you tie up a top 5 point finish for the season, that starts you in that 100-lap race, and that's definitely what everybody wants to be in.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had one year that we drove Dan Smart's car. I think we were locked in the field that year, or no, I can't remember. I guess off the top of my head, but and that race was probably one of the funnest races that I've been a part of. The outcome wasn't very good, but the race itself, and the midpoint break, we had a tire going down, and it was change the tire and start last, or it was okay, just put a whole bunch of air in it and we'll hope it stays up, and that's what we did, and it did, and the car handled really good, and it was fun.
Yeah, that was definitely a good night. We had a ball. I know I think we started 16th, and I remember dropping back and running it right around 20th. So, I don't know, probably 40, 50 laps in the race. And then after we got near halfway, then I slowly started picking the cars off, and it was fun, and the car was handling really well, and each lap it seemed like the car was getting a little faster and a little faster, and come to find out one of the jack and bolts was jacking out of the car, and it was making the car better in the corners.
Wow. Now, oftentimes something that starts going like that usually works against you.
Yeah, it usually does, but in that particular night, it was actually slowly getting better and better, and yeah. And with 5 laps to go, we were actually at least a second-place car. We may even have had a chance to run down Fisher if we could have got into second, or if we could have got by the 57B,
Bubba.
I think it was.
Bubba Burnell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually the left front jacking bolt was jacking out, so it was taking weight off the right rear. So it kept tightening the car up as we went along.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, Carl, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. It was a lot of fun to reminisce and look ahead to this coming year, and we're excited to see you back full-time in the street stock division, going for that top 5 spot in points, try and get yourself locked into the Empire 100. Before we get you out tonight, I want to give you a chance to thank all the folks that help get that Double Deuce Coupe on the racetrack every week.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate that. I've got to thank Harrisville Park, because they've helped me the last probably 10 years. And SP Wilson, they've given me a lot of support since 1995. They actually picked me up and helped me, and they've really, really done a lot to help me out. John Wade and his entire family, Tom Wade, Jamie Wade, they've been great to me. And outside of that, I've got to thank my wife for supporting my racing habits, and all the guys on my crew. You've even come over and helped out, Clint, Steve Kent, Dickie McCann, Les McCann, Rich Ryder. There's been a bunch of guys involved in my racing, and through the years, they've been great guys, always been very helpful, and you can't never thank those kind of guys enough.
All right, Clint. Well, again, Clint, I'm sitting here looking at Clint, and I'm talking to Carl. Thank you, Carl, for joining us tonight, and we'll talk to you again probably opening weekend.
All right. Well, thanks, Steven, and anybody I may have forgotten with my sponsors, I apologize, but I definitely appreciate your help.
All right, Carl. Thank you again.
Thanks again. Bye.
Well, Clint, I'm not sure what else I can say about Carl Cleveland. I mean, when you talk about a class act, a guy, a sportsmanship, that's Carl. I mean, just a great guy at the racetrack. That Carl's one of the guys that when you go to Black Rock, you got to stop and say hi to, because he's just a fun guy to be around.
Yeah, 99% of the time, there's always a smile on his face. We'll do whatever we can to help somebody out. And obviously Carl said Steve is a big help in that. Carl's actually won the sportsmanship award at Black Rock Speedway the last 3 or 4 years, I think. I mean, it's just a great assessment to him, his family. His dad's been a welder there since 1910 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, Mr. Cleveland's been a staple there at Black Rock for years.
A funny story about Uncle Dave is he used to run the Enduros. I think he was, mid 60s or when they had the big car Enduros, and he finished third, I think, one year. Dave did. And he had the radio on his car, and the radio was playing while he was out there racing. So,
had the radio on while he's out there. You're kidding me?
Nope.
Well, that's good stuff. And again, Carl's a great guy to talk to. We'll certainly have him on again. It took us 16 episodes, Clint, but we finally got Carl Cleveland on the show.
Yeah, and I had to kind of twist his arm a little bit.
I figured you must have. I figured you'd gone over there and clubbed him over the head or something. But
no, I just told him, I was like, oh, man, somebody backed out on us last minute. Carl, I got to have you come through for me, buddy. And he's like, oh, man.
That's awesome. Now we've given away our secret. But that's good stuff. We'll toss it off to a break, Clint. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show.
You're listening
to Turn 5.
Okay.
What?
The 80s called. They want their store back.
It's time for a new Radio Shack. Come see what's possible when we do things together.
Race Chaser Online is your nationwide hub for short track racing news, video, and audio. Visit them at www.racechaseronline.com and catch them on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Speed 77 Radio on Livestream. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700.
Your dirt track home for news, discussion, and driver interviews along with race results. You're listening to Turn 5.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, brought to you weekly by Creekside Entertainment, Penyan Electronics, and Race Chaser Online, Speed 77 Radio. Clint, I was excited before the show even started tonight, and I'm blown away at being able to talk to a guy who is a career NASCAR guy who has a local dirt connection here in the Finger Lakes with Dylan Cecce. And you know the thing, we talk about Dylan Cecce, that kid, doesn't matter if it's an RC car, doesn't matter if it's iRacing, and it doesn't matter if it's a dirt street stock, and I've even seen him test in a dirt modified down at Woodhall. The kid is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, he's surely got a lot of talent, and let me tell you something. I raced those RC cars, and I touched on that a little bit with Danny in the early '90s, mid '90s, and they're a lot more faster now than they were then, and they were a handful to drive then. I won my share of races, but, I'm sure I haven't seen anything lately, but with technology evolving just like everything else is, the hand-eye coordination has got to be extreme.
Yeah, and you put the RC racing, the iRacing, and I know you've looked at some of those videos that he's got on YouTube, Clint. Mm-hmm. Sometimes out there driving with one hand. I mean, just that hand-eye coordination is unreal, and it's really cool to see a local guy like that get hooked up with a guy who's out running with the Nationwide Series 33 weeks a year, and not just and not to say anything against a crew guy or a tire changer or the gas man or whatever. I mean, this is the crew chief for one of the top NASCAR teams in that sport. It was really nice to talk to Danny Stockman and have him take his time out of his night tonight to talk to us, and it sounds like it's something that he does quite frequently with some of local radio shows or anything to support racing. He's on board with, and I got to tell you, when a guy like that's on board with it, we're on board with it.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt. It's just another guy that gets it. Another guy that's worked his way up the ladder, and he's given back to the local guys, to the little guys, because he wants to keep his roots where they're at.
That's the best way to describe it, as a guy that gets it. It's absolutely true. And what else can we say about Carl Cleveland? Class act guy. Appreciate him taking his time out tonight as well. That's just a fun guy to reminisce with, do a little bench racing or do a little racing out in the shop, talking about things they've done, the things that he still wants to do. So, obviously, we're very close with Carl and his racing efforts, and we'll have him on again. We were just happy to get him on the show. It took us 16 episodes, and we got him on.
We tried from day one, and he's not real comfortable, talking stuff like that, publicly. If you ever listen to him in Victory Lane, he falls over his words all the time. So for him to come on the show tonight and be with us, it means a lot to me. To get him here and to know that he trusts us enough that we're not going to make him look like a fool when he's on here.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like he had fun with it too. So, hey, let's talk about some other news and happenings in the racing world. We've got a whole array of things we could talk about, but let's go out and talk a little NASCAR stuff.
Might as well.
Might as
Danny
well.
On the show.
I mean, it's the biggest thing that nationally for motorsports that's come out in the last week or so. a new knockout system for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series that is going to determine how their champion gets decided in the chase. And we could spend the rest of an hour to try and explain it to you, and we still wouldn't be able to cover all of it. Best thing I can say is to get online, research a little bit about that new system, and we're going to kind of give our opinions here. I'll let you start, Clint. What are your thoughts on the new chase system?
Everything's ever evolving, and you're going to get your share of people that aren't going to like it. You're going to get your share of people that love it. I, for one, am. You know what? I'm kind of looking forward to it. It takes away from the guys like Matt Kenseth, who the 1 year I think he won one race and he won the championship. They definitely did what they wanted to do, and they're more set up for you got to win. And that's what this knockout chase is doing. If you're not in the top 12 after 3 races, hit the road, Jack. You don't have a chance. And realistically, you didn't have one anyway if you were that far down with 6 races left.
Yeah, the thing that I like about this knockout system is it puts the emphasis back on winning, which I like. What I think will be interesting is to see, because now you've created a wild card system where you take a David Reagan, who won an absolutely incredible finish at Talladega last year. You take a guy like that, and now you put him into the chase and see what he can do. Now, he might get knocked out in the first round. That's completely possible. But when you take a team of that caliber and put them into the chase. But when you're a wild card, you're playing on house money. Think of David Reagan being in the chase with Front Row Motorsports. They'd be playing with house money. Why not?
Great story. That would be a great story.
Absolutely. A couple good runs, and they could move into the next round. And then if they have a couple more good runs, then they move in the next round. So that's really going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And the people that don't like fans or the radio shows on the Sirius talking about the championship, talking about the chase right from race 1. Well, this isn't going to fix that. You're going to talk about the chase right from week 1 all the way to Richmond, because if you get a win, you punch your ticket. And if you add more wins, you're just assuring that you're going to have that spot in the first round of 16 when they start the chase. So
yeah. And you know what else it does, Steven, is so the last race of the year, you got a race to win. There's none of this, all right, Dale Jr. is going to win the title if he finishes 15th or better. No, man. you got, there's 3 other guys that you got to beat on that last race of the year.
What I like about this is you're going to do away with the Brad Keselowski goes into Homestead with a 26-point lead, and it's going to take it's going to take a catastrophic failure or a horrible run for somebody like Jimmy Johnson to catch him to win the championship. Mm-hmm. That is going to be, even you look at Jimmy this year, it was a lot closer, but still, just a solid day for Jimmy Johnson, and he had the thing wrapped up. There wasn't anything you were going to do about it. That changes everything. You go to Homestead with 4 guys, best finish takes the championship.
Yeah, you finish second. You know what? That might not be good enough.
Yeah, the year that I ran Black Rock and won the track championship with the Pavosky brothers, that's kind of how it ended for us. I was running against John Wallenbeck in the Bandits. The last week of the season got rained out, so we never really got to decide it that way. But the week before, we were tied going into that night, and what ended up being the last night of the year. And so essentially you didn't know it was going to rain out the next week, but essentially that night became, okay, whoever has the best finish tonight is going to end up winning the championship. We had a great night. I think we ended up winning that night. and John had trouble that night, and that's what ended up deciding it. And when I heard about the system, I kind of thought back to that. It's like, man, that was kind of like, back in 2001 when we decided it there on the last night. So it's gonna be exciting. We're gonna start talking about the chase right from the beginning, and we'll see how it shakes out. That and the new qualifying format, gonna be really exciting, man.
Yeah, the qualifying format. I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
there's,
I get what you're saying.
There's too many variables in there. There's, what if a guy goes out there and he kind of blocks, but he doesn't intentionally block? It's going to slow down somebody's lap times. I think they ought to just. You're basically making it so it's a heat race basically without the green, without the bundling up as a pack, running your 20 laps or whatever, and then qualifying that way. You've got all the guys on the racetrack.
Yeah, and we'll see how it shakes out. Now it's not going to be any different for the Daytona 500. They're still going to qualify the same way they do. We'll see if Danica can repeat her qualifying performance from last year. That certainly had the NASCAR world and some national media attention abuzz. But before we get out tonight, Clint, I wanted to touch on something we talked about earlier in the week, over the weekend, actually. Tough deal for Jeb Burton. Losing his sponsor and now losing his ride for, just about 2 weeks before they start heading to Daytona and get their season kicked off. And now he's scrambling, trying to figure out what he's going to do. And the kid's a talent, too. I can't imagine he's not going to get to Daytona with something. Is it going to be the caliber of Turner Scott Motorsports? No, probably not. But, boy, what a tough deal for Jeb.
I was thinking about it, and, why couldn't something like this happen in December? Beginning of January. Give the kid some time.
I'll tell you what, though, even then is still tough.
Well, sure.
That's still tough.
No doubt about it, but it's not 2 weeks before the season starts. I don't know. I just feel real bad for the kid. He had a really strong rookie campaign last year.
That he did. And, we'll see if he can land on his feet, see if he can get himself a ride to get down to Daytona. And, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
That's all you can do is now he's got the waiting game, just to see what happens. But anything else you'd like to cover before we get out of here tonight, Clint?
Oh man, just not really. But we're getting ready. The Dirt Car Nationals are coming up here in a couple weeks.
Getting ready to start that. They're getting ready to run at East Bay.
Yep, they actually got double features at East Bay Speedway tonight. You can go to xan.tv or something like that, and you can rent for the night to watch some modified racing. It's like $15 or something like that.
Cool. Kenny Wallace down there.
Kenny Wallace is down there. Actually, Dirt Vision I saw today has all been reworked.
Okay.
So,
haven't been on Dirt Vision in a while.
Yeah, so, they had some problems last year dropping a lot of coverages, and there's still going to be the free audio. So, maybe they can get some of their glitches fixed, which is a great deal for guys like me.
Oh, yeah.
Who, family time, can't get to the races you want to go to. You can at least listen to them.
Yep, absolutely. And, again, that is over at dirtvision.com, so you want to check that out as they get ready and prepare for the Dirt Car Nationals week down at Volusia. That's going to put a wrap on it tonight here for this week's episode of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. We want to thank our sponsors, Penn Yan Electronics, down on Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan. We want to thank Creekside Entertainment, the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Podcast. And we want to thank our good buddies Tom Baker and Jacob Seelman over at Race Chaser Online and Speed 77 Radio for keeping us out to all of their fans as well and helping us here with our show. Clint, we'll wrap it up there for Clint and all of our sponsors here at the Turn 5 Podcast, and for an ailing Brad Ovens at his home in Penn Yan. I'm Steve Ovens with the Turn 5 Racing Podcast saying, race fans, be sure to check it before you wreck it. We'll see you next week.